and welcome back, everybody, to the Student's Opinion. Before we start today's episode, we wanted to tell you guys to go and check out our Discord server. Link will be in the description down below. Today, we are here for the 11th episode, the IB Education System. And we're talking to none other than Medhaansh about his experience in the IB system over the past 6 months. So, Medhaansh, could you once again just give a brief introduction of yourself?
So hey guys, I'm Medhaansh. I'm a student studying currently at UWC Maastricht in the Netherlands, which is an IB school. I'm currently doing the IBTP, the diploma program, and I'm currently finishing year 12 on TP1, as it is said over here.
That's nice, introducing yourself again after 11 episodes. But yes, let's get straight into the podcast. So, first question. What is the IB?
Well, Vineet, the IB is, in short, is in its complete sense, is called the International Baccalaureate. It's an international set up education which teaches the students how studies can be applied theoretically, but also on an application basis as well. So it's a balance of both theory and practical based system with a lot of extracurriculars which are necessary, which help you become a well-rounded individual by the time you finish your the entire program.
That's interesting. So the IB program, if I heard you right, is a program that focuses on the complete development of the individual rather than just the academic side, as you have seen in India.
Yeah, exactly. So unlike India, where in the ICSE or the CBSE curriculums, where it completely focuses on academics, the IB, from my experience, focuses not only on academics but also equally on extracurriculars, which helps out and helps you even generate new interest into what you want to do or what you're doing. So yeah, I think from my past experience and comparing it to it, it's more of how everything can be culminated together rather than just focusing on one part of an individual's education.
Yes, that seems really cool about how the IB is going about helping an individual develop because at the end of the day, not just your academics will carry you in your later life. You have to be a well-rounded individual to be able to be successful later on. So, with that said, could you tell us some of the subjects that are taught in the IB and the extracurricular opportunities that are available?
So, well, in the subject package of in the as it differs. I mean, I'm doing the diploma program. It might change for the careers program as it focuses more on your career perspective. But since I'm in the diploma program, I can give my own perspective. So there is a part which talks about the humanities. So before going into that, the diploma program requires you to take 6 subjects, excluding theory of knowledge. Uh, and among those 6 subjects, one of them is of the humanities group. And the subjects generally available in the IB are the business management, economics, geography, global politics, history, information technology in a global society, philosophy, psychology, social and cultural anthropology, world religions, but world religions generally present in a stand level only. Now, in my campus at Maastricht in UWC, we don't offer all of them. We offer majority of them. That is economics, geography, global politics, history, and yeah. Then we come to the sciences, which, like any other, uh, forum or education forum across the world, consists of biology, computer science, chemistry, design technology, physics, sports, exercise, and health science. And there's also an interdisciplinary subject in the science, which can be considered as a humanities or as well as a science, which is ESS, whose full form stands for Environmental Systems and Societies. In our school, however, we only offer biology, chemistry, physics, DT, which is again design technology, and ESS. When it comes to studies in language and literature, as part of the diploma program, all students take at least one subject from the studies in language and literature. Taking two subjects of the language and literature in different languages, of course, is one way of get obtaining a bilingual diploma. Now, how it's divided is language A literature, language and literature, and literature and performance, which is generally present in English but by special request also in Spanish and French. Generally, languages ranging from English, French, Spanish, German, you name it, any usually any other language is present in the form of language and literature, but it also differs from campus to campus because certain campuses might not have the said aforementioned tutor to teach that particular language. In that case, then you take it up as a self-taught, which is present in UWC, where if you want to learn a language that you know well enough that you can study with an external tutor, with a tutor present who looks after it and tests you on that perspective of the text that you go home and go and read on basis. There's also a subject about language acquisition. It is a requirement of the program that students study at least one subject from group 2. It's provided in two levels now: language ab initio, which is a course for beginners, which is what I'm doing here in UWC Maastricht. I'm doing French ab initio. And these courses are generally available only in the standard level. And there's language B, which is course for students who have previous experience on learning the language. It can also be provided in the standard and higher level as well. Now, coming to mathematics. Now, mathematics becomes a little bit tricky and confusing when it comes to the IB, but once understood, you can, just sail through it. While each level has its hard points and how we go ahead with, maths in the IB is divided in four levels: maths analysis and approaches standard level, mathematics analysis and approaches higher level, maths application and interpretation a standard level, mathematics application and interpretation higher level. Now, all DB mathematics courses serve to accommodate the range of needs, interests, and abilities of students and fulfill the requirements of various universities and career inspirations as well. Now, the major thing with the division of the range of different, the application interpretation, which is called AI, and application approaches, which is AA. Now, each of them have different ranges of marking schemes when it comes to the final IB examinations, and as a result, there are different, ways of measuring. Because certain chapters might be given higher ranges given by the term. Certain papers might use graphic calculators. Paper 1 and paper 2 might use complete graphic calculator. However, in analysis and approaches in one particular paper, it might not be allowed. So, it ranges from that. And then we have the arts. Now, students choose courses from the subject groups, which are studies in languages and literature, mathematics, and arts. Students may opt to study an additional science, individual, and societal language, and instead the course over here is arts. Now, over here, the main reason why the IB does it is that the subjects in the arts allow a high degree of adaptability to different cultural contexts, and the emphasis is on creativity in the context of disciplined, practical research in relevant genres. Now, five subjects are available to students at the higher level or the standard level in the IB, which is dance, music, film, theatre, visual arts. Now, in the diploma program back in my campus at UWC, we only offer music, film, and visual arts in the diploma program. However, for the MYP, the middle years program, most of them are present. I'm not too sure about whether dance is present even in the MYP as well. And yeah, we then, after a careful research and what your what you want to do in the future, whether you want to study a particular subject to go in university, you design your subject package in such a way in which helps you, focus on your future goals. And that's how the IB subject package is done. Now, In terms of the extracurriculars, we have something that the IB does mandatorily called CAS, which stands for Creativity, Activity, and Service. Now, it's one of the three essential elements that every student must complete as part of the diploma program. Otherwise, we aren't awarded the diploma. It is not formally assessed, however, but we as students we reflect on our CAS experiences as part of the DP and provide evidence on achieving the seven learning outcomes for CAS. Uh, Now, in terms of creativity, it can be arts or the experiences that involve creative thinking, activity, physical exertion contributing to healthy lifestyle, complementing academic work elsewhere in the DP, service, an unpaid and voluntary exchange that has learning benefit for the student. The right, dignity, and autonomy of all those involved are respected. Um, the main In order to demonstrate these concepts, the students are required to undertake a CAS project, and this project challenges students to show initiative, demonstrate perseverance, and develop various skills like problem solving, collaboration, decision making. So yeah, it provides opportunities for self determination and collaboration with others, fostering a sense of accomplishment and achieving with work. Apart from the CAS activities as well, we have various non-official CAS activities which you can always be a part of. Like we have various clubs. Like I lead a club back in my campus called Student Filmmakers, where we design films talking about social issues. We have astrophysics talking about various new discoveries, crochet. We also do a lot of gardening, which can act up in your as an activity, book clubs, fencing, you name it. Any other extracurricular activity is present, so that you can balance out your time with how you do it in the IB. So yeah, that's pretty much how the extracurriculars and and study framework in the IB works out.
Wow. I mean, really, that was such a long list of options that you guys have presented at the IB. I mean, I have to really ask you, is it daunting at first when you are presented with all of these options and you have to make a decision about what program you want to study in, what group you want to be part of, what subjects you want to take, what extracurriculars you want to do? Or is it more of an easy decision for you once you know that this is what I want to do and the IB just facilitates you to specialize in the area that you're actually passionate about?
Well, I mean, of course, it is. It well, Beneath it differs from person to person. But personally, I felt that it can be. It has to be very. It has to be a very meticulous research, especially given you have to assess your own strengths and weaknesses on what you want to do and what you're passionate about learning. The IB is more about your passions, your interests, and how it's culminated in the academic world. So yeah, you have to really look into who you are as a person. The IB makes you question on every spot of the way what could be done better, to make your interest the maximum. If you want to pursue a profession in this, if you want to pursue a profession in filmmaking, like I want to go ahead with it. So yeah, you really need to look into yourself, who you are as a person, and then choose those particular subjects. And thanks to the United World Colleges, which is the organization that has created one of the schools, one of the 18 schools in which I'm studying right now. It gives you a lot of background information on what the subject offers and what level consists of what you have to be aware of. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it might be pretty daunting for some, but all it requires is pretty meticulous research when you go into the IB.
That's nice. So then you talked about a variety of subjects being offered by the IB. So I just had a question about what is the general level of these subjects, say compared to the academic rigor in India? How does the IB stack up with that?
Well, Vineet, the academic rigor, when we compare it to India, it's a very bad comparison, because India is more focused on academics, and everything is judged on what you get in your official IBs, or sorry, what you get on your academic scores in the end. But the IB, well, in terms of academic rigor, definitely it is present, because the IB does want you to understand what it is. Like one of our teachers in our school said that once you complete the IB, the university will seem much more easier. So yeah, the IB continuously challenges you at every point of time to be your level best. But of course, the IB also understands the fact that many students who are completely new to the system might falter at first. So they're quite considerate to the fact in the first term, and then after that, once you get the hang of it, the academic rigor seems less and less. There's Apart from the subjects we choose as well, there's also certain mandatory stuff in the academic field, like the extended essay. Now the extended essay is a research based essay which you do in a subject of your what you are passionate about, and then you go ahead and delve into it completely in detail. It's like an undergraduate thesis writing, which we have heard of in the past. So yeah, the extended essay does demand academic rigor, and then when you go into the final year, year 13 or DP2, you have your college essays. You are preparing for your extended essays. There's your theory of knowledge, which is also another mandatory as apart from our subject package as well. So yeah, the academic rigor is present, but if you are efficient enough and you know how to manage your time well and know what interests you, then it doesn't seem that much when if you have to compare it to India.
Okay, and does the IB also help you develop these skills over the years, like time management and improving yourself at every step? Or is it something you have to develop independently before you go to the IB?
Time management, well, that's a very interesting concept because in at least in UWC Maastricht we are given various workshops that talk about how you can you know conserve time and make it much more better. So yeah, in terms of that, there is always the skill of time management definitely helps if you have it already, but there are various workshops for students who are not very aware of time management, or have never done time management before. Their curriculums were not more academic based, and from the various countries that they come from, or in the various countries that they are from. So yeah, there at least over here UWC, where there is like more than 100 nationalities living together and studying together. There is definitely, we can see workshops and every aid that our school gives to make sure that in the final IB exams it's much more better, because like any other exam in the world, you're also given a set limit of time. That set limit, however, which interestingly changes from subject to subject, and also the paper which we sit for.
And you also talked about how the IB is extremely research focused. So could you shed some more light on that?
I mean, the IB is research focused. I can't disagree with that. In the few months that I've researched more than I've ever done before. I think the only time I've ever researched when I was in India was during my Model UNs or any form of debates or conferences that I was part for. In terms of academics, I've never done research before, so this was quite an interesting experience where we do research all the time. The thing is, all usually all our papers that we submit, all or our written thesis or practice essays that we do, are much more based on information that we gather rather than from one particular source, because back home in India they're like, okay, these are the books, you can get your information from there, blah blah blah, that's how you go into the exam. But no, the research, if you don't have adequate research, you will not be able to answer the IBDP final IB questions in the end, the examination questions. You have to also have, in term for the sciences, you also need to understand a practical approach to it. Especially for physics, for that matter, you need to understand how the practical analysis of that particular chapter works, or that particular object works. In filmmaking, as we're doing, we understand and compare cinematography styles, mise en scène, various. So there's, and you have to go back, read different books, look into research papers written by people, review it, critique it, and then condense it into your own research paper. So yeah, I mean, it is more like what we would do in the future if whoever's going into bachelor's or in the masters or even PhD for that matter, when it becomes much more research oriented. I think the IB gives you that edge because after 2 years almost of rigorous research orient based teaching, it kind of prepares you and it doesn't become a surprise when you go into university.
And could you also give us some examples of the research you guys undertake? So, is it like a experiment that's presented in a book that you go and try to replicate in the lab, or is it an experiment you come up with by yourself and then you try to test it and find some new results?
Well, the thing is, in terms of the sciences, at least our teachers over here, there is no particular book as of say. I mean, no, they give us, of course, you can review it for there. You can review it. And do work and check it out. But our teachers love, at least in UWC, help in much more practical based learning. So almost in every other class you will notice, at least for over here, we while we were learning light and oscillation and waves, they brought in practical ways of seeing light and how it becomes dark and why light doesn't pass through. And this all that stuff that goes on, which kind of helps, because once you understand the practical analysis of it, you don't have to mug up and say the same thing again and again. There's less theory when it comes to the IB and more of your own practical understanding in the papers. And when it comes to research in terms of the humanities, we go into detail about, let's say I study global politics, so we are right now looking at jus ad bellum, which is the just war theory, and look into how the Russia Ukraine war is, does it honor the just war theory, or it doesn't meet the agreements, or is it in violation of it. So it goes so on and so forth. There's a huge amount of discussion, understanding from various cultural contexts, which incidentally the UWC as a campus does. Secondly, in terms of film, again, it's more of research based of understanding. Once you understand the core terms and core concepts, you'll be able to sail through it in no time. And then, of course, practical filming, direction, editing, sound, always those are present. We have the textual analysis, where we analyze an extract of a film and compare it with film elements, cultural context, and so on and so forth. It just goes on and on. For the mathematics, we have a lot of internal assessments, the IAs, which if you want to go ahead, which we have to do, of course, which are again a lot of research based. It's not okay, this is how we're going to solve the paper. No, it's not more like that. It's more of, it makes you think, okay, I didn't think of it like this, so let's try it in this manner, and it helps out.
That's nice. That's pretty cool to see that you're not just presented with the answers at school. You're rather forced to actually go and seek it, just like how it will be in later on in real life. And also, you mentioned something about theory of knowledge in your grade 13. So, could you expand a bit about that?
Well, the TOK is a subject of types. I mean, technically, it's not a subject. It does not fall into the subject package. It's a compulsory um, part of our diploma program. So the theory of knowledge essentially makes you question as to what you're studying, basically. Because while we learn and study everything on a daily basis, the theory of knowledge essentially makes you question what is knowledge. We look at knowledge from various perspectives and analyze them. It plays a special role in the international baccalaureate because it provides an opportunity for us students to reflect on the nature of knowledge and how we know what we claim to know. Now, we then talk about what counts as evidence. How do we judge which is the best way of solving stuff? What does theory mean in the real world? How is implementation really meant? Um, So it is again assessed through an exhibition and another 1600 word essay, and the exhibition requires students to create on three objects that explores how TOK manifests in the world around us, and the essay focuses on the conceptual issue of the TOK. Like for example, it may ask students to discuss the claim that the methodologies used to produce knowledge depend on the use to which the knowledge will be used. In fact, before I was recording this podcast, even I was working on my TOK essay and a presentation that I have due on Tuesday, and that talked about how does current knowledge shaped by historical development. And that's the way the TOK helps you to understand and reflect critically on diverse ways of knowing and on areas of knowledge. So yeah, it's very interesting concept, but sometimes it becomes rather difficult to understand because for many students who have never done something like the TOK before.
Yeah, well, we wish you the very best of luck for your TOK presentation on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Finally, before we end the podcast, I really wanted to ask you about your experience. How has it been? How would you say it is compared to India? Would you say it was a step up, a step down, about the same level? Would you like something's changed in the IB? Right? Just your overall opinion after the past 6 months in the Netherlands in the IB system.
Well, I mean, if I have to really compare it to my past experience in India, definitely it's a step up. I mean, no question. The ICSE and CBSE systems at the present are were a bit painful while I was finishing my high school in India. So comparatively, the IB is definitely a step up. However, I would of course like certain things to be changed for the betterment for the IB, so that it can be made better for future students. For example, the group that we have to do a mandatory science and mathematics, which I kind of feel it is a bit or it's more of a bit of an obligatory situation, because what if a student does not want to study something related to science or mathematics? Granted, the IB does that for overall development of an individual, but that is something that could be changed by making it non-compulsory, and that's what the careers program incidentally does as well. So in case I think I mentioned it before as well in the podcast, so I'm doing the diploma program, and there's another program that goes side by side, which is on career program. It talks about a lot more of business and management and how you can conserve and protect the earth and society as a whole. So yeah, it's very interesting, and over there you can choose not to take a science, or you can choose not or particular mathematics level. So yeah, you do have a choice in the careers program, but then again the careers program comes again with its own disadvantages and advantages alongside it. So yeah, the IB in terms is a very tricky, complicated process, but once you get a hang of it, trust me, if you're doing the diploma program, it's going to be one of your best 2 years that you have ever invested in your life.
That's nice to hear. So, do you have any final thoughts before we conclude today's episode?
The IB essentially is just a roller coaster ride. You can't depend on like said resources or anything. It depends on where you're studying. So I'm studying at UWC. So to all our listeners, if you ever want to study in an if you want to study in an institution or live alongside with various other students who are from different nationalities, different ideologies than your own, then I do advise you go check out the UWC .org, which gives you different national committees. Presently, we have 18 different schools across the world, in all across on almost every other continent. So yeah, I mean, the experience that I'm leading is more of an UWC IB experience, but it definitely changes for students who are studying the IB experience itself in various other institutions that are not UWC. So yeah, I guess that's what I would like to end my entire talk about the IB.
Well, it was really nice hearing about the IB from you. albeit your experience is not that long, it was still refreshing to get an inside view about how the IB system works. And well, with that, we come to the end of this 11th episode here on The Student's Opinion. This episode is exclusively available on Spotify for the first 2 days, after which it will be available on YouTube, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel to be notified when future episodes drop and comment on what you thought of this episode. Also, be sure to join our Discord server. The link is in the description down below. If you have any questions, be sure to email us at contact.thestudentsopinion@gmail.com. For now, it is Medhaansh and I signing off.